Hamburg. The last 10 days I moved a lot. Had 2 speeches in Sweden just before Hamburg, on March 14 in Stockholm, on March 15 in Gothenburg, then Hamburg, recording also a popular German show on Channel 1, Beckman Show, then moved to Cologne, then to Zurich, then to Leipzig, and now I'm in Berlin. It's all part of the German tour of this new book, How Life Imitates Chess. When you see this recording, this book will be available already in English. The promotion starts in the beginning of April, and also in Dutch. There will be at least 4 more editions available in 2007, in Russian, then also separate US edition, which is quite different from UK edition, and also Spanish and Chinese. Might be more. You just have to look at the chess base and to find out when the edition in your language is available. There are altogether 19 countries, so I'm sure that you can read the book, which is my main work on the nature of decision making in your native language. Now go back to Najdorf. We discussed in the previous segment the Hungarian attack, where White immediately plays g4 and tries to complicate game from the very beginning. But now we should look at a different setup, as we discussed, with queen d2 and then f3. For many decades, such a plan was considered to be quite passive and ineffective. And also it was due to the fact that Keres attack, even Keres attack where White played g4 and g5 and pushed this knight from f6, at certain point was in the balance, so there was no clear advantage for White, and the conventional wisdom was that even if g4, immediate g4, doesn't give White a clear edge, then playing f3 and then g4 is too slow. And I also have to confess that I was on the same impression. And when I first saw the games played by what we call now English attack, with f3, queen d2, g4, I was not impressed. I saw it as just another modern try that would not stay for a long time. I was wrong, and eventually I also included the English attack in my own repertoire with White. So, and this is probably one of few lines, if not the only one, where I had plenty of games played on from both sides with success, because these positions, they require not only deep analysis and preparation, but a lot of creativity and energy at the board. But in mid-80s, it didn't look impressive at all, and I remember that I played twice in 1988, beat Nigel in Belfort, and then played with Kalifman. At that time I played positions with knight c6 with pawn on b7, and then just to move into Keres attack with f3. I thought it would be very playable for black. I played it later on as well. There were more games. I beat quite nicely Topalov in 95. Then I beat him again 95, but the position was not as good as I hoped after the opening. But now we don't want to analyze positions with knight c6, bishop e7, and castle. Just we could put them here, so it's something like yeah, this is, and here black can either exchange on d4, playing b5, or play knight d7. I played both moves, but that's more of Scheveningen line, so we are not analyzing them in the Najdorf section. And as for b5, f3, the popularity of this line began in mid-80s when Chandler beat Ribley in Bundesliga, and Short then beat Ribley in Montpellier in the candidates. But the big day for this line, the first one, was in Brussels in '86, after Short won 2 games. First game was Hübner, which we are looking at now, and then I also suffered quite a painful defeat from Nigel in the same tournament. So Hübner played very naturally bishop b7. Now we know that knight bd7 might be, a little bit more precise, because after bishop b7 now white can play g4. And why g4 is an important move. Why you play g4 before the castle? Because the ideal locations for black knights, and we know that black should find good locations for the knights, because if black wants to refrain from h6, preventing g5, it will have to find a good square for the knight f6. And if it goes back to d7, then you should do something with the knight on b8. And the ideal composition for these 2 knights would be squares b6 and d7. So that's why you should find time to bring your knight from b8 to b6. It's quite interesting that b6 square is even better than e5, because there are some situations where knight can go on e4 and a4, and also on e5 it gives white more options to play f4 at a certain point. That's why g4 now would be more precise, because then black should play knight fd7, but after castle knight b6 there is a very interesting move, knight b3, so creating some discomfort, because after knight bd7 knight goes on a5. If knight goes here, then knight a5, winning the bishop. Okay, it's an exchange, but still it offers white an edge. And if knight goes on c6, then after queen f2, then knight on b6 should go back, and it leads to a favorable position for white. But at that time, everybody just made natural moves. Short castle, Hübner played knight bd7, g4, and played knight b6. Just intuitively finding the right square. So Nigel played h4. It's just a move to push the pawns on the king side, but it is not useful at all. So now queen f2 is played, knight fd7, and then bishop d3, rook c8, knight ce2. I also should mention my game with Movsesian, who just played king b1, and then after rook c8, bishop d3, provoking me to sacrifice on c3, which I did, because this kind of position is very good for black. It's extra exchange for white, but in such complicated position where both kings could be under attack, knight versus rook is not being felt. There's not material advantage, because the pieces value is quite relative. It's determined by the ability of these pieces to create threats, and it's quite natural that knight on a4 creates more threats than rook on d1, and also that's the exposed position of the white king gives black more chances to create threats than still solid pawn structure around black king. So, and you can analyze this game. I beat Movsesian in Sarajevo 2000 in the last round, winning the tournament, and I think it's a very good demonstration of the dangers that can be waiting for white if they play carelessly, as Movsesian did. Let's go back to this game. Nigel played h4, rook c8. Of course, here Hübner could play knight fd7, just preventing sacrifice on b5, and then it would probably lead to similar positions, but h4 is not the most useful move. Also, it can play a role if white continues pushing its pawns on the king side. So rook c8, and now Nigel decided to start action. Knight cb5 and bishop takes b5, and here black could move back with knight from b6, and that creates quite unclear position. The white has very good initiative, but it's an extra piece. But psychologically, you don't want to move your knight back. You play knight fd7, but after queen b4, this X-ray on b file creates problems, and Hübner couldn't handle it. One of the things to be considered here was d5, and then white takes back the piece, but suddenly the roles are reversed, because white has a material advantage, 2 extra pawns, but on the queen side there are 2 open files, and black can hope to create a lot of threats. So that was one option, and Hübner made a move which is not as bad as you could judge from the very quick black fiasco in few moves. But because after queen b3 he made a terrible mistake playing king d8. It was either knight c4, but then white will have 3 pawns for a piece, but its position may still remain unclear, or even knight a8. This move looks quite horrible, and it's definitely not aesthetic, but at the end of the day black still keeps an extra piece. Personally, I would prefer the 14 d5, changing the roles and giving up material for creating counter chances. After king d8, everything was over fairly quickly. Bishop g5 check, bishop e7 now, bishop takes d7, king d7, knight b5, and black's position collapsed. So queen c4, knight takes d6 even, b3, and black could survive to the end game, but eventually Nigel won this very nice game. I think we should again understand that the white game is not as innocuous as it may look at the first sight, because pawn on e3 protects pawn on e4 and strengthens white's position in the center. And if we look at the attacks on the opposite sides of the board, black attacks on the queen side and white's attack on the king side, very often white attack unfolds much quicker. And also white has a very good development, and its king on c1 or b1 is located safer than black king on e8 or g8. Just to talk about nuances, we should go back to the position after f3 knight bd7. Just when black tries to create the best construction with bishop on b7, knight on b6, and then this knight on d7, and then rook goes on c8. And I can send you to the games that I played in 2000, 2001, 2002, games with Judith Polgar and Linares 2001, then with Grushuk at Rapid Chess in Cannes also 2001. There are many games, and these positions are still open for further investigations, and I could just encourage you to look at some games that were played by strong players, but you should trust me, it's just the tip of the iceberg, and position is playable for both sides. But the important thing is just to look at the early stage. If white doesn't want to allow black to develop pieces in this fashion, it could play g4, knight b6, and now a4. I remember that it was first played against me by Vichy Anand in our blitz game in the tiebreak in Reykjavik, and I was quite surprised, because I saw that after knight c4, bc4, I have no reasons to complain at all. And Vichy played this short castle, and of course it didn't work out. But later, when White played a5, bishop b7, knight a4, and Vichy played this once, and then it was followed by other players, and I recognized all the difficulties for black position when playing Lecco in Linares in 2005 in my last tournament. And then there were more games played, but I still think that White has an edge in this position, and black still should be looking for ways to complicate this position, because slow motion game always offers White an advantage. And we also could look at some other developments, because White may play also f3 here, and then after b5 g4, just trying to avoid knight bd7 altogether. Then I tried knight fd7 here, again trying to reach this position, and after queen d2, knight b6, castle, knight bd7. Here there could be a lot of complications. There are many ways to sacrifice material on b5. There is an immediate knight db5, ab5, knight takes b5. There are also moves like bishop g5, queen c7, knight db5. And then there's also king b1, bishop b7, knight db5. Without going into details, I think that the positions are always about equal. Also, the word equal is probably wrong to be used or to be applied to such complicated, irrational positions. But that's the nature of these lines. And also, after knight b6, White tried also a4 here, and that was my game with Anand, also in Reykjavik in 2000. It was the rapid game, and after exchange on a4, I managed to create some good chances after Vichy played bishop e2 and castles, bishop b7. So eventually black created decent chances against White's open king. But Topalov against Anand in Vikings 2004 played stronger. He played g5, castle, and then h4. And black has to consider also the White's attack on the king side. And after sacrificing the pawn, bishop d7, rook a1, knight c6, rook takes x6, Vichy couldn't get the same effect as I had in the game against him in Reykjavik, because all white pieces are well coordinated and surrounding its king. So the current situation is that in these lines, black still has to make some tough choices. How they try to reach this ideal construction with knights on b6 and d7, and normally develop its queen side. But I think just we are yet far away from making the decisive conclusion. But now we should look at different positions. When black is preventing g4, g5 altogether, playing h6, which was considered to be one of the best moves for quite a long time, from probably the late 80s to the beginning of the 21st century. So for more than 10 years, the big debates were concentrated on the positions that arose after white played g4 and black played h6. So now we move to these positions.